All right, welcome to All Clemson Tigers Baseball Show. I'm Will Vandervort. That's Jason Priester. We're glad to have you as we kind of get you informed of all things Clemson baseball. Want to let you know this is part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform. We cover all things Clemson sports. We appreciate you being here today and watching our podcast as we try to get you updated on the Clemson Tigers baseball team. Please subscribe and like this podcast. We'd appreciate that very much. Jason, welcome, my friend. Pretty excited weekend for the Tigers. I know you enjoyed it because me and you both are big baseball guys, and we enjoy watching the Tigers play baseball. Well, what was your thoughts on the weekend?
Yeah, it got off to in typical Clemson fashion, it seems got off to a little slow start on Friday. Well, no, they did win Friday this week, didn't they? This
Well, they got
doubleheader
off to a slow start. They were down for a little bit. Yeah.
the doubleheader threw me off. My bad. But
Yeah.
win game one, win game three. This offense has really come alive of late. Outside of that one game, game two there up at Boston College where the bats just went cold against some good pitching. The offense has really come alive. Seems like for the most parts, the pitchers are starting to settle into their roles now, and this coaching staff has those roles figured out better than what they were at the beginning of the season. I think that's been a big part of this turnaround.
Yeah, it's been great. And for those, just so you know, Clemson took 2 out of 3 this weekend at number 11, Boston College. A Boston College team that, as I mentioned, ranked and has played very good baseball all season long and even lately. And the Tigers went up to Boston, to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and beat the Eagles 2 games out of 3. The Tigers won game 1, 9-7. They played a doubleheader on Friday because of the weather. So they won game 1 on Friday, 9-7. Then they came back and lost the nightcap 3-1. The Eagles got it and evened the series there, but the Tigers came back and jumped out early on Boston College and then hung on for a 6-3 victory. I really shouldn't even say hung on because it was never really in doubt, to be honest with you. It wasn't like BC had any runners in scoring position or anything like that late in the game. It was a good, solid series win, I think, for the Tigers. By the way, for those people wondering, that's 4 straight series now the Tigers have won in the ACC. Jason, that's got to be the part. Cause I'm going to go back about a month ago or so. Me and you were talking, off the record, talking stuff. And we were wondering how many series this Clemson team could actually win, at that time. And now here we are about over a month later. They've won 4 consecutive ACC series. That's amazing, the turnaround we've seen with this baseball team.
I go back to that Wake Forest series. A lot of people, after they got swept by the Demon Deacons, a lot of people kind of left this team for dead. They were 2-6 in ACC play. I think they were about to head to Tallahassee, and things looked rather bleak. But I remember Eric Backett. He told us after the game 2 loss to Wake Forest, and he reiterated it again after the game 3 loss, that he believed with every fiber of his being that they were fixing to turn it around. And he said when they did, they were going to be hard to deal with. And I think they have lost only 4 times since then. And they've taken series from Florida State, Notre Dame, Boston College, swept NC State. They've beaten Georgia, beaten Coastal Carolina. So it's not like they out here beating up on scrubs. This team's played one of the hardest schedules in the country. What they are doing right now, the turnaround that they are experiencing, like you said, it is rather impressive considering the competition they're playing against.
Yeah, they've won 11 of their last 15 games, as you mentioned. They're 11-4 since that Wake Forest series, and they've done it by beating, like you mentioned, they've beaten Georgia. They've knocked off, as you mentioned, Boston College, Florida State. Impressive wins. And so I went in and kind of did some research. So first of all, so people know, Clemson is ranked number 12 in the latest RPI rankings. Now, I know everybody looks at the top 25 polls, and that's great. Clemson is in 2 top 25 polls today. They debuted at number 25 in collegiate baseball. First time this year they've been ranked in collegiate baseball, and they debuted at number 18 in perfect game. So 2 rankings out of, I think 5 that are out there. To me, baseball and basketball rankings don't matter because it's all about the RPIs and things of that nature. And right now, the most important one in baseball is the RPI, and Clemson is ranked number 12 in the RPI. And I went and did some digging, my friend, and said, okay, what is Clemson against RPI. You just mentioned they've played a hard schedule, and they've played a really hard schedule. Here's Clemson's record versus top 25 RPI teams. The Tigers are 9-9, which is impressive. Okay, then they're 6-2 versus top 25 RPI teams on the road. 6-2. All right, they're 12-12 versus top 50 RPI teams, and then they're 20-13 versus top 100 RPI teams. And they're 9-4 versus top 100 RPI teams on the road. That's impressive. That's a difficult schedule, and those are impressive numbers that Clemson has put up so far, especially on the road, Jason, away from Doug Kingsmore Stadium. They're like unbelievable how good they are.
Yeah, they have gone to Tallahassee, won 2 out of 3. Went to Raleigh and swept. And going into that series, I said it out loud. I would have been happy if they came away with 1 win. They go up there and win all 3. Then they go up to Boston College, the 11th ranked team in the country, take 2 out of 3 there. It has been rather impressive. And, I think this team, it all started, I know they beat Coastal Carolina coming right off of that sweep at Wake Forest, but I thought to me, it really all started down in Tallahassee on the road. And I think, I don't know, to me, this team just has that, there's a mentality they have when they're on the road. I think they play a little better on the road than they do at home, and that's just me. It's not by much, just a little bit, because they've been pretty dang good at home too here of late. Mm-hmm. But I think this team is taking on this, I guess, road mentality is the way to say it, and they have been exceptional on the road. You talked about their tough schedule. I think their strength of schedule is 3rd in the country.
Yeah, and it's not like they're like beating the Sisters of the Poor or the weaker teams on their schedule. No, they're beating those other top RPI teams as well, and top ranked teams. As we mentioned, Boston College is ranked 11th. It's not a typical Boston College team that is that we just expect Clemson to beat, right? They went down and beat a ranked NC State team at the time, took 3 straight from them. I agree with you. I think that game 2 of the Florida State series, remember they lost game 1, came out, Austin Gordon didn't have his best stuff. Florida State puts a 5 spot on him, I think, in the first inning, and they beat Clemson 5-1, and it wasn't a very good game for Clemson on either side. And then game 2, they just came out and took care of business. And then they did the same thing in game 3 and took that series 2-1 in Tallahassee. Yes, this is a Florida State team that's not as good as they normally are, but still to go on the road after you just lost game 1 and to find a way to go back and win the series said a lot. Then they do the next thing. They come back and they host Notre Dame, lose a very emotional game on that Friday night, if you remember, against Notre Dame, where there's some controversy. Eric Backage got thrown out in that game, and you wondered, okay, how are they going to handle this? Well, they came back and won the next 2 games to win the series, and then all of a sudden, now they're rolling. And I think so. I'm with you. I look at game 2 against Florida State is like the pivotal moment when this team decided, hey, we can beat anybody we play if we just focus and play good baseball. And really, that's what they've done. They're not perfect. They're 11-4, not 15-0, but 11-4. If you would have told me in this stretch of games they had, they would go 11-4. I wouldn't have believed it. I would have said there's no way. More like 4-11 is what I would have said, a month ago. But, man, Coach Backage, he was right. He kept saying we're this close. We're about to turn it around. And this is going to be a very good baseball team going forward. And so far he's been dead on with it. Don't ever challenge that a coach doesn't know their team. Coaches know their teams. And he said, hey, we're about to turn the corner, and we're going to start winning some of these close games. And when we do, we're going to be a really, really good team.
Yeah, I remember him. I can still see him sitting there saying, I believe it with every fiber of my being. That's exactly the way he said it, and it has come to fruition. And like you said, like we talked about, I think the turnaround happened down there in Tallahassee, and that's a place that's not been kind to Clemson baseball over the years. They've had some heartache down there, so it's a good place to kind of exercise some of those demons. And like you said, I know Florida State's not a they're kind of going through a transition themselves this season under, kind of similar to what Clemson is, a first-year head coach, just like Eric Backage is at Clemson. And but still, to see them do it in Tallahassee was kind of sweet.
It was very sweet. And so, by the way, and I don't want to forget this, Clemson pitcher / first baseman Caden Grice was named the National Player of the Week today for his performance this weekend against Boston College. Not only did he tear it up at the plate, but, man, what he did on Game 3 on Saturday, if you guys didn't watch it or didn't listen to it, it was impressive. He went 8 innings, a career-high 8 innings, had a career-high 9 strikeouts, gave up 2 hits and 2 runs in that 8 innings of work there. Just an impressive performance. And then considering also he drove in 2 runs with a double earlier in the game, helped his own cause. That it was a double that really kind of broke the game open there early and gave Clemson a big advantage. Caden Grice, man, part of the reason I think why they're 11-4 is this guy's been on a tear. And
Absolutely.
He's hitting home runs. He's pitching well. He's making clutch 2-out hits. He's doing it all right now, and that's what Clemson needed. They needed somebody to step up and help, the freshman in Camarella and to help Engel out.
Yeah, and it's kind of timed with him when he kind of his bat started heating up when he started pitching. I don't think that's coincidental. The word I used to describe his performance Sunday was masterful. I thought it was masterful. It was by far his best start that I've seen from him since he's been here at Clemson. One of those runs he gave up in one inning, they didn't even get a hit, an error. I know he walked the guy, but he ended up coming around on the throw in there. One of those cheap runs that you hate to see score, but it's fun to think about. It's fun to think about what ifs. What if he had been in the rotation all along? Because Clemson has some injuries, and it took him a while to get that rotation settled in. But we don't deal in what ifs, but he has been really good. He's probably been Clemson's most consistent pitcher, and he's found his power stroke, man. That ball he hit at home, I forget who it was against, man. No, I don't think it's landed yet.
Yeah, no, he had a Seth Beer one. I remember. I know which game you're talking about too. Well, here's the scenario. Okay, as we get into it, they're playing well. They're hitting the baseball well. They've been sort of hitting the ball well, I thought, pretty much all year. It was just a matter of if the pitching could get healthier, and I think you're starting to see that. It shows some consistency. Some of the young pitchers are coming along now, get a little more confidence, kind of believing in themselves. I think that was really kind of where it was coming down to, and now we're seeing them turn that corner. And what they've done because of this run they've been on, by the way, Clemson hosts Louisville. They are the Cardinals, Jason. They would finish with wins against everybody in the division not named Wake Forest in the Atlantic Division. That pretty much puts them in position to take second place in the division. Now, they still got to win out. They still got North Carolina and Virginia Tech to play, and they have to play well in those 2 series as well. But first of all, you got to take care of business there, right? And so beat Louisville. Now you got yourself a chance to win second place, to earn a second place spot in the division, which helps who you're going to play in the pod system of the ACC tournament, which, by the way, I can't stand. I hate it. It's just the most confusing and aggravating thing there is.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
It is. It's just so funky. I don't understand it. I know it's for television, but come on. Everybody else figures it out. Why does ACC got to be weird? Just do things normal. But if you could – okay, here's how Clemson goes out. They got Louisville this weekend on Friday. Then they play Coastal Carolina, who, by the way, is number 7 in the RPI next week. Louisville, in case you're wondering. The Cardinal is number 28 in the RPI rankings. So this is a chance to get to maybe 2 or 3 more RPI wins. If you win the series, going to help you, going to move up without a doubt. And then they go to Virginia Tech after the Coastal Carolina game. So they got to go on the road at Coastal Carolina, on the road at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, in case you're wondering, ranked number 51 in the RPI. Not having the year we thought they'd have. But, they're still right in the mix there to get in the tournament and be a tournament team. So that's going to be a big tournament. Virginia Tech's going to want to play well because they're on that bubble, if you will, right now. And then they close. Then they go. Then they host USC Upstate, a team they already beat once this year. Over, I believe, in Greenville. Oh no, they lost to them. Did they lose to them? Didn't they? Over in Greenville.
Yeah,
my bad. That's right. They lost to them over in Greenville. So, they'll maybe look to get a little bit of revenge there. USC Upstate not ranked very high. They're 122 in the RPI. So that's not going to help Clemson if they win it, but don't lose it because you don't want it to hurt you in that standpoint. And then they close the year against North Carolina, who's ranked number 36 in the RPI currently right now. But North Carolina playing a little bit better baseball. The Tar Heels 28-16, 11-11 in the ACC. Virginia Tech 25-16, 11-12 in the ACC, and Louisville 28-15, 9-12. So, Jason, basically what I'm saying all this for is that Clemson can win the two non-conference games and then win each of those remaining three series, which to me is doable, right? Now we're talking about, I think Clemson's already in the tournament. Now we're talking about, okay, I think they're hosting, without a doubt, a regional. And if they, let's say, sweep a Louisville or sweep a North Carolina, beat Virginia Tech 2 out of 3, beat that other team 2 out of 3, knock off Coastal Carolina, maybe win 2 games in the ACC tournament. Now we're talking about maybe a national seed. I know that's crazy. Go ahead and hit me. Throw some things at me if you want to. But that is a potential if they continue to play baseball the way they have been.
Yeah, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities at all, especially with the way they've been playing and with the schedule, the way it sets up. We have said, I've said it, probably 4 weeks in a row now. This is going to be a big ACC series for Clemson, and you're probably going to, hear it 4 more times or 3 more times, whatever it is, before we get to the end of the season, because every series from here on out is going to be a big one. Mm-hmm. They are playing. I think they are now playing for the potential to host. They are absolutely in the discussion. 2 weeks ago, we're not even really talking about this team as a regional team, and now here we are talking about them possibly hosting. And again, like you just said, if you can take 2 out of 3 from Louisville, take 2 out of 3, or go up there and sweep Virginia Tech, then take 2 out of 3 from North Carolina and beat Coastal, I think you're absolutely in discussion for one of those national seeds.
Absolutely. So there's a lot to play for in this last month of the baseball season. I guess the last 25 days, because it'll kind of go into the ACC tournament, and we'll know, going into that ACC tournament where Clemson stands and what they got to do at that point. But right now, they're in position to do some good things in baseball right now, and that's what Clemson people love to see. This is why you brought Eric Bakich on. It's happening faster than I thought it would. I'll be honest with you. He's done a masterful job coaching this team this year. This team to be in this position, in my opinion, is a surprise. It's a surprise. It may not be a surprise to Coach Bakich and his coaching staff. It's a surprise to me. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, I did. I always have expectations for Clemson to make a regional every year. I mean, it's Clemson baseball, mm-hmm. but we're living in, if you're living in reality, we're talking about a first year head coach transition season. I did not have the highest of expectations for this team, just like you. And now we're sitting here talking about them possibly hosting, maybe playing their way into a national seed. That is something that I would have. That was unthinkable to me 2 months ago.
Yeah, totally unthinkable. And we'd like your thoughts, if you wouldn't mind. Drop your thoughts and comments in the below us here on our show here. Love to hear from you. We'll answer them, obviously. And if you have any questions for our next show, be happy to let us know. We'll do this every week here on out, so you can expect to see us here on allclemsontigers.com baseball show. So we appreciate you joining us. We're going to get on out of here now and get ready for this week. Don't forget, Clemson hosts Louisville this week at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Start Friday night. Game 1. Game 2 will be on Saturday. Game 3 on Sunday. Hopefully the weather will stay like it is right now and be beautiful. I'm tired of the weekend gets here and we always have to figure out what games they're going to have to play a doubleheader on. it's a mess. I mean, every weekend they're having to play a doubleheader, it looks like, because of the weather. So hopefully we can get 3 games in the normal traditional way. But Jason, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming on and talking with me, talking baseball, man.
Always love talking baseball with you, Willie.
All right, man. I know I'll see you this weekend. Hope to see you guys also on there. So, again, thanks, All Clemson Tigers Baseball Show, part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform, covering all things Clemson sports. Don't mind, please like this podcast and then subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, for Jason Priester, I'm Will Vandervort. We'll talk to you on the other side.